digital transformation from a skill development lens. With a big round of applause, let us welcome the panelists. Dr. Jayant Kumar, Joint President, Human Resources, ADANI Group. Ashwin De Silva, Managing Director, CIO Group, Accenture, India.
Hi.
Rituraaj Juneja, Chief Industry Engagement Officer, THAPAR University.
Hi.
Mr. Rao Ambati, Head of India Hiring, Technology, MPHASIS. And Mr. Shakti Banerjee, Head of Department, Immersive Media Design, MIT Institute of Design.
Hi, everyone.
Very warm welcome to you, gentlemen, and thank you for making your precious time. Asking all of our distinguished panelists to take a minute or so to talk a little about themselves.
Thank you, Anand, for creating this opportunity to talk about this important thing. It's extremely important topic for industry, as well as for academia, as well as for the society in general, because the kind of phase in which we are living, most of the things that we are doing today, which so-called non-digital, is moving towards being digital. And the commercial organizations which are creating value and wealth for the society, they need to move into this whole transformation, either at the same pace where the rest of the world is moving or faster than that. And if those organizations which are not able to cope up with this change, if they are not able to take the right actions at this point of time, they will find the going difficult,
right,
with every passing day. And hence, most of the places that I know of, or within our organization, within our group also, we are absolutely clear that digital is the go forward in various aspects of running the business. And we are taking all the necessary actions in clarifying the architecture, understanding the need, assessing where the world is going, building internal capabilities at skill level or at competencies level, managerial leadership competencies also, because it's not only about digital skills, it's also about the digital mindset.
Hi, everyone. I'm Ashwin De Silva, and I'm one of the managing directors in Accenture, and I am part of the CIO organization. Digital transformation actually began 10 years back. And with COVID, everything, everyone became digital overnight. And we truly believe that all organizations are digital tech organizations, because everything, all aspects of our business today is digital. Accenture, we saw this a little early, and an IT organization, we are able to help organizations through their digital transformation. Started off with cloud, and now there's things like AI, ML, blockchain, VR are all changing the way we actually have done what we have done. And today, technology is not just limited to just the IT or CIOs or IT heads. Every business, being a digital business, a technology business, will have to adopt. And I think the people who adopt faster are the ones who grow faster and survive faster.
Hello all, once again, I'm Rituraaj Juneja. I handle the industry engagement at THAPAR. And industry engagement per se is not just limited to placements or internships. It's to do with comprehensive engagement with the industry. And THAPAR Institute is about 65 plus years old. It's a very well-known institution in the country and rated as #1 private university in the country by Science Higher Education also. So just to give a perspective, we have a couple of campuses. The key campus that everybody knows is in Patiala, Punjab, where we run the engineering programs. And another campus, which is comparatively new, about 10, 12 years old. That is in Chandigarh at a place called Dera Bassi, where we run the management programs. So digital is something I completely agree with Ashwin, that digital is something that is not new. It just got accelerated because of the pandemic that we faced. And while we were all using multiple ways, but then the faculty was forced to consider delivering the education in the digital online mode. And with the initial teething troubles, but then things worked out very smoothly. And today we have online delivery of education for our engineering education going completely online. And for the MBA, the business management graduates, the delivery is hybrid mode. So we have students who want to come to the campus can attend the classes from the campus, and then the ones who are sitting at home can actually take the classes from home. For the assessment, especially the midterm assessment, we are expecting them to come to the campus and have a face-to-face traditional way of assessment. So digital has moved in. The faculty members have understood the meaning of digital. They are really very aggressively building the digital content, and it's a very interesting way how things will look forward once the pandemic settles out, because we are still trying to figure out, will it be completely digital, will it be digital plus hybrid, or will it be completely traditional once again. So it's anybody's guess. So we are actually taking it taking it as it comes.
Hello everyone, thanks Anand to give this platform, and I think this is the time we should talk about this, because everything is changing so rapidly. I'm actually heading immersive media design in MIT ID Institute in Pune. And my background is also from NID, and I'm a designer. We have introduced a new course, new discipline, which is immersive media design. And this is a kind of a future skill, persuasive communication with all this IoT, with AI, and talking about AR, VR. It's impacting not only design, it's impacting everywhere in the part of the life. And we are actually looking forward that how it can be integrated with the industry.
Being in the HR function, I think digitalization started for us from a contactless hiring, probably a couple of years back. But what makes me think is somewhere COVID took away all the credit for all the effort that all of us put in, at least the CIO organization, the HR leaders, and and Ashwin would definitely agree with me. The CIO organization spends sleepless nights in ensuring the security, cyber security, ensuring the latest technologies were updated. But somewhere, I think COVID took away all the credit. And I feel that probably one thing that COVID has done is put us in a fast forward mode. I think that is where I think all of us are grappling with the talent crunch that we're going through. And purely from a hiring perspective, I think we've invested in MPHASIS, we've invested in technologies that would help us using AI and in ensuring today onboarding happens remotely, and we don't even get to see the person, right? And the handshake happens virtually. So we've invested in technologies where we ensure the person is the same. There is during the interview process, there is lip syncing, using AI technologies to ensure the same person is talking. I think all of us have come a long way, but I think the journey just started. I think that's the way I look at it. On a lighter note, if I have to say, when COVID first started in Feb-March timeframe, there are some talent skill sets that we were all looking at. And we continue to look out. And example, I say, I'm looking at full stack developers. It is people who are very familiar in the industry with technology, and say full stack, that is never going to get solved. But I think we've still found a solution. We've got a vaccine, but we still grapple with the full stack talent issues. But that is the speed at which the technology is growing. But I think together with this group, with this talented community in place, I hope we all come out with some hope for the future. And there's a lot of hope as we talk, and I'm sure we'll have more good news as we conclude the conference from each one of us.
You spoke a little about pre-COVID, you were looking for full stack, and now you're still looking for full stack. COVID आया, vaccine आया, सब हो गया, पर बाकी सब change नहीं हुआ. But my question is, if you look back 10 years and you look now and the coming 10 years from a skills perspective and a technology perspective, and how you engage with the academia, what has changed?
You say what changed, I think everything has changed. From our linear TV to OTT platforms to, the way we even get information today. Today, everything is available. Earlier, we had books. Now we have digital mediums. We have videos. We have content. We have, PDFs that give you information. However, I think, I don't want to be too controversial, but I think education systems have not changed that much. Everyone is trying, and I know for a fact everyone is trying. But as a system, we are still in a waterfall approach. We still go a linear way. question is, are we agile enough in the way we teach? I still do believe that in the foundation that we teach our children is a bedrock for information, but are we agile enough that once we given that foundation, are we keeping up with the markets and delivering people as per need?
I agree with Ashwin. What I have noticed is that there's a gap between the academia and the industry. We have to create something agile which has to go with the industry. In design also we've been trying a lot of things, very innovative. And in fact, the whole curriculum, like now, which you see as the immersive media design, it is the first time in India which I have able to put it, and I have only formulated this course, and we have started this discipline in 2018. And believe me, I got a very good response from the industry.
There are 2-3 things that I want to call out in this debate. One is that the disruptions will be far more intense and far more frequent as compared to the previous decade. When I say disruption, that is, one is the disruption being caused by new technology and new applications. That's one part. But I'm going beyond that. What I'm saying is that the business models itself will get disrupted. And the frequency of that disruption and intensity of that disruption will be far more higher compared to what we have experienced in the previous decade. We saw it coming. Those organizations who were savvy enough to prepare themselves, they're in better position. Next decade, you will see that fundamental models through which wealth was being created will undergo a change because of multiple reasons, including one of the reason is the technology. The other is also because the consumer preferences and the society's expectations are changing dramatically. And if we are not able to understand that as a commercial organization, then we are in for trouble. And fortunately, now we have data science, we have analytics, we have the power of all those things through which we can be ahead of the curve. So these two things combined, one is technology, the other is consumer preference. These two things will give birth to new models which will be far more agile, far more cost savvy, far more customized. And hence we need to think through how do we carry out business in the future. That is the first thing that I thought. And we are talking purely in the realm of digital, because these are the new technologies which are powering all those things from the back end. Second trend that I want to call out is the substitution. We saw that coming in the previous decade also. We said that it's coming, it's here and now, and it will have impact, but the impact was limited in limited types of industry, limited types of role. What I seriously think is a lot of substitution of roles and those kind of jobs will happen in the next decade. Even in other areas, now there is a move to create those bots who will start writing programs. So even the fundamental level of job of programming is going to be automated, and they will write programs that we are going to. It is already there, and that's growing further. Third thing, very briefly, I want to touch is the new formats of work. So far, we were used to, including in the decade that just passed by, in an organized manner, in a closed boundary wall or in a large office, we have created those enclosed spaces where people used to work and people used to be part of a large structure. We in corporates, we love to draw and redraw and redraw and redraw those lines and boxes. I think the era of lines and boxes is getting changed. It will not remain in the manner in which it has remained for last 200 years. This whole organizing human beings through lines and boxes is undergoing massive change, and we will see rising proportion of those people who are not exclusive to one organization. So far, we have been blocking people through a contract of employment, and we say that it's like marriage, one versus one organization, one human being. That is undergoing change, and very soon we'll find those kind of people who will bring exceptional value. Concurrently, they will work with 5 different organizations or 10 different organizations as individuals, as consulting firm. And last in this that I want to say is that this digital has brought a lot of freedom for youngsters. The generation that we belong to, we are still talking of, we are in love with our past. We keep reflecting on how good the world was when we used to do things in a particular way. The new generation is completely different. If we really understand what drives their mind, and they are less into physical world and more into virtual world, and they connect more themselves into the virtual world. So that has given them a lot of freedom, the freedom of location, freedom of boundaries. And that is reflecting into the generation that is coming to work now. They are not bound by the same kind of systems and those kind of things that we very naturally accepted and we have lived our life with.
Internet started in the 1960s or 70s. But after that, every innovation is taking a faster approach, right? We're going through a phase of compounded innovation, right? And that is the challenge. Our ability to forecast talent continues to be a challenge. While there is need, while there is also greed. Today, every talent has 3 to 4 offers out in the market, but do we have enough? But one thing is positive that's coming out is the hiring managers, the technology leaders today are wanting to take the risk, which was not the case 10 years back. 10 years back, there was no big data. And 5 years back, data scientists was not a regularly used term. But today, if I ask you blockchain or 5G or quantum computing, are we really prepared? I don't think so. Today, what we're looking at is learnability. Unless we make some concrete steps now, the problem will still continue to be there.
Rituraaj, how does one create a talent pool where an institution obviously is thinking that they have to have a placement record, and for the placement record there is an internship based on what we call a headline requirement of roles, and we are filling those headlines. But when the talent comes in, you find that the talent looks good on paper, but when it starts working, you don't find the depth. Now, how does one solve this issue? The institute is already investing in the infrastructure, in its legacy, in what it does in terms of providing the platform for grooming. But what we do find is that still there is a lot of mismatch when it comes to the talent that comes in and starts to work. Everybody just comes with a demand list of expectations, and nobody comes to a company says, okay, I want to help the company grow.
Yeah, you're right. Coming from the industry, 2.5 decades in the industry, and last few years, 6-7 years in the academia. Even in the industry, I used to be interacting very aggressively with the academia because I was passionately taking some elective courses from the industry side. And I did realize that, rather than complaining sitting in the industry, why don't I put in my 2 cents in the system, and let me contribute. So that's a proactive way of adding value. A simple example I'll give. You go to a restaurant, you order a pizza. The waiter comes to you and says, I haven't heard about the pizza. Explain me what it is. I'll ask my kitchen, my cook, and he'll create one for you. And you explain him, it's made of dough, flattened, heated, vegetables. And he says, I got it. He goes inside, comes out in 5-6 minutes, and very nicely served on a plate, and opens the lid, and you get to see a paratha. Now, understand the dilemma between industry and academia. This is academics' perspective. He says, industry does not know. We got the best students. For sure you have. You have no questioning. Your paratha is as good. My point is, I'm here to eat pizza. Most of the academia is in a denial mode that, industry is not coming to us. Why would industry come to you, boss? You're not giving them what they want. So idea is to understand the requirement, engage proactively with the industry. It's not, you don't reach the industry when you want them to come for hiring. You engage with them over a period of 12 months. The ways that we engage at THAPAR with the academia, the industry, is beyond internships and placements. We seek capstone projects, for example. So whatever the students have learned over the period of the semester, they get a project from the industry where they are able to apply their learnings in a practical environment. And that is assessed by the corporate as well. So that's one. Another thing is we seek support from the industry in terms of hardware and software. Hardware as in, if it's an engineering company, so anything that is a sample stuff that they are willing to do away with, maybe technology that they have moved away from, but it's fairly recent and it's good enough to understand the basics. Or the software, it could be education version of very specialized software. So we can pre-train our students on the hardware and software so that when they land up as a job in a job with the industry, that they know what they're expected to do and they can quickly build on that. Forging strategic MOUs. This could be in terms of setting up center of excellence or labs and create a brand for that organization within the campus. So you have a captive audience of thousands of students who will tomorrow be hitting the industry. So you can create a brand in the industry using these methodologies. Then MOUs for curricular upgrades. This is something which is very close to my heart. Gone are the days when you have a traditional mechanical engineer or a civil engineer or stuff like that. So IT or computer science is crept into everything. So it's no longer mechanical engineering. So it's mechanical engineering dovetailed with IoT. So how well can you understand the practical aspect of the particular learning? So for which I think a beautiful way to do is to understand who are the industry majors, work very closely with them, work out a way where they can add or top up some of the curricula or replace some portions of the outdated curricula with the things that they require. Assessment internship, because that's an opportunity for the student to showcase his or her strengths to the corporate. And there's also a great opportunity for the corporate to figure out, is this the kind of guy you would like to hire? So that is something that we would like to do. And when the corporates engage with us over a period of 2 years, they are more or less clear that this is the set of students from this cohort that we would like to hire over the entire year. A lot of research projects can happen. The industry would be happy to see what kind of specializations various departments have. Mr. Banerjee talked about design, or it could be to do with engineering or management. Idea is that once they know the strengths of a university or institution, they can probably pass on some of the projects, consulting or research back to the academia. And that will be another way to engage. In fact, one of the things that we are doing in addition to this is faculty internships. Now, because of the pandemic, it's become more of a training, but we would love to send our faculty for 2, 3, 4 weeks of internships at the premises or the campus of the corporate. Let them understand the things that they are doing, understand how they're interacting with the customers, understand this, sensibility of corporate deadlines, latest technologies, techniques. A lot of things happen in the process. They understand what they want. They build their friendships. They come back and give the same examples to the students who they have seen in their own life. And then the student gives the same example as the case study when interviewed in the 4 walls of an interview room, which is music to the corporate world. So that works very well. Another thing that we are exploring very proactively is something called co-op, where the student actually ends up spending a semester, alternate semester with the industry. So there is an internship every alternate semester, and a small cohort of, let's say, 20-odd students can be picked up by 1 or more organizations in a similar domain. So first semester, the student gets his basics in place. It could also be first and second semester, and we can start from third. So that's a flexible arrangement. The idea is that the student gets to do more than just one internship with the corporate. There is no expectation. There are no obligations to hire the student. Student gets to perform and gets to understand what the corporate wants and how he or she should shape up, become more relevant to them. So this is how it is happening.
Our curriculum, if I talk about this immersive media design, it's a convergence of design and the technology.
If I take any new technology today, we don't have the right infrastructure. And how much would a college or an education institution put the burden back on the parents or the kids? In fact, Jayant was talking about one individual being able to work in multiple things, right? Jayant, that's how what we are getting into the gig economy, right? We're getting into A lot of companies are getting into that, but right now that is still a very, very native concept or a very early concept, I would say, in India. One, the forecast, that's not coming, right? I think I've read enough and more reports saying we're losing more business because we don't have talent. And we are looking at talent in 4 directions, saying talent will come from somewhere. It will not come. Whatever is available, I think we need to start using that to our advantage. If we don't realize that, I think one thing that's come out strongly post-pandemic is, hey, I think we should start using what we have. If we start looking at the 4 direction, every talent initiative or hiring initiative that we do, we're going to the limited pool. And that's how every single candidate has 3 or 4 offers in hand. That gives me a lot of confidence now.
So I think there is a gap, right? And I think what some companies in US do is that you have corporate, you have this academia. What they have is probably government funded tech labs or incubator cells, where that bridges the gap between what the industry wants and what aspiring students, when they get, can they learn on new, or there's a lot of, I mean, globally we pick up a lot of students from or tech labs which are latest and greatest of technology. So it's that, I think that's a way, there is a way to minimize that gap. I mean, from a academia perspective, you have students who want to learn new and a lab is a great place for various organizations as an industry to bring in new technology. And then it's not one person investing into a lab, right? If it's a state-run lab, I think in US, I've seen labs all across areas where it's a common forum, multiple companies become co-participants, they fund it, they are bringing in the latest information, and while academia is bringing in the latest of students who are interested. So there's a both qualification in between. That's just a thought that came to my head.
Diversity of talents. Okay, the talent is there, always there. But what we are actually missing now is the industry and the academy both has to come into some same platform where industry also understand what is happening in the academy, and the academy also understand like how we can escalate their curriculum so that it will reach the same level. And the thing is, we talk about technology. Technology is technology, right? And how to use the technology, that's where the designer's roles come. Because how to use it for the user, because design understands the user better, they have to understand the space around it, and then comes what technology. I mean, technology can be, I can use even a speech recognition or voice recognition or even image recognition, or even I will use AR, VR, or XR, or even AI. But that has to be understandable, that concept, because anything what you do, the concept is very important, and then you try how to make the technology driven with that.
Anand, if we can bring focus back to your original question of when you hire someone, you find that the person is ready and will be willing to contribute, and when the person comes, then you realize that there are gaps. I think if it's not a hiring mistake, there are occasionally all of us make our own share of mistakes in terms of finding the right talent. If it is not that case, then one of the things that we are experiencing, and more on conventional side like infrastructure and financial services and those kind of industries, is the rapid pace of obsolescence of people. So when people come at the time of selection, even in multiple rounds, all of us are aligned that yes, he is the right person for the job or she is the right person for the job. And within 1 year or max 2 years, there are multiple roles that we have experienced. And it's not limited to one organization, one group. This phenomena, I have also discussed with many other peers and colleagues in other places. Because of the changes which are happening outside, if the person is not coping pace with those changes and not upgrading her own level of both technical functional domain expertise as well as managerial and leadership skills, because those are also getting very complex now. Earlier, the models used to be very simple. And if the guy is really good in terms of technical functional, normally behavioral side used to get overlooked. If he or she is good, then very good. Even if the person lacks, we will run with that. But now, leading the team, having collaboration, creating value, ideating and driving innovation, these are important aspects of running organization. And our experience is that when the person comes, seems to be a right fit, within 2 years time, we start feeling, because the organization has also grown, so complexities have grown, scale has grown, plus external environment has changed, and also the methods, work methods and other things have undergone change. So not everyone, but the proportion of obsolescence and resultant redundancies has grown up. That's also a trend which is coming up. And as I'm talking of even high technology, forget COVID. Before COVID, all of us know that in some of those high technology centers of the country, there was large scale redundancies that came up, because as long as the consumers are willing to pay, these kind of workforces will be carried in large organizations. The moment there is some disruption, whether caused by economic slowdown or caused by any other external disruption, immediate cascading impact, it starts coming to the organizations and people start losing job. One of the points that Rao said, that it's a myth that AI and other emerging technologies will take away jobs. I think it's not at the net level. Net level, some more jobs may be added because of the new skills and competencies that may be required. But if we look at the substitutions that have happened across different industries, not only in manufacturing, obviously it has happened in manufacturing in large scale, it has happened in services, it has happened in technology companies, across all the places substitutions have happened, and that substitution is growing. So if we say that new technology will not impact the skill hierarchy or established family of jobs, then that may not be the total truth. And hence we need to understand as a society, how do we remake the skills? Because this whole model of one course of engineering or law or MBA or chartered accountancy and 30 years of career, that's gone. It's gone for sure. Now the cycles are very shorter. People have to learn, contribute, unlearn, relearn, and then get into next cycle of contribution. That's the future.
No resting on past laurels is what you're saying. It's a constantly refreshed.
Also, for example, my learning, which I had my engineering college, there is a half-life period of that. Every 7 years, I am becoming half of that. So if seven years out of campus, I was half of engineer. In 14 years, I remain 1/4 of an engineer. And in 21 years, I became 1/8 of an engineer. So that was already there. Beyond that, because of the new things which are coming up, if I do not acquire new skills, new knowledge, and new know-how, I will not be relevant. And that's the reality. And hence, if we are talking of capability building at mass level, in the interest of economic growth of the organization, if that is the framework under which we are talking, then we will have to discover some new models. Society is willing to pay for whatever convenience that it gets, whatever services that it gets. But then that productive usage has to be under a different model than the conventional model of education system that we are having. That's the point I wanted to put across.
Thanks, Jayant. How does one really talk about growing the digital transformation talent pool at scale?
We have a large workforce and we have that same challenge. And the way we do it is collaborative and get people working cohorts within our teams to take it to. Today with virtual, everything is virtual today. There are opportunities and there are the pros and cons to things. The negative side of things is that we can't meet people physically, but the positive side of things is that we don't need to be in the same location. We can be anywhere across the globe. Technologies like VR and AR enables us to build phygital worlds, to build worlds that we can actually collaborate across the world or across cities. We can actually build virtual campuses that people not only learn, it's not the same as online learning, but virtual experiences where people can have breakout rooms, have interactions. And like you said, that the millennials, today my child is 6-year-old, she thinks this normal. It's not something that is rocket science for her. People can crossing boundaries. You don't have to be in this, and opportunities for our education institutes, right? We don't have to find jobs only in the country or only in the same location. Today, as Jayant was saying, it's a very open mesh kind of a thing. If I find the skill I could probably take up 2 jobs in different parts of the world and still charge by the hour than actually working in a company and dedicated my skill to only one. So I think if I had to say, growing my talent and being a subject matter expert would probably make me more money than actually joining one company and spending my time. So I think there are opportunities, especially for a lot of organizations and institutes to grow, while the team sizes may be small because collaborations are far better, but you can do, you could have probably Mr. Rituraaj or Mr. Banerjee could have 10 institutes across the world in different time zones and having mirroring the same speaker. I know that's the way to grow and probably share and get more opportunity in terms of business.
One more factor is the awareness, because still I think we are talking about all this, but still the awareness has to go in a much deeper, and so that everybody thinks as a career as well as a emerging skill. The one more factor is here, I'm talking about as a master's course, and I'm actually taking people from different backgrounds, and all of them, they're actually learning the coding, they're learning C# and they're working on Unity. They're actually, so along with the design concept, we are talking about fundamentals and design concepts, we are talking about narratives and all that, and it's quite happening as a peer learning also. People can, when they want to eager to learn, obviously can learn. So in this world right now, the learnability is more important.
I think the millennial generation is redefining the way they're approaching technology and the ability to learn, unlearn, relearn. I think they're very much agile and faster, and they're saying, "Hey, I can do something which you don't need to wait. Don't want me to wait for 5 years. I can do it today." Right? That is how we can bring more talent pool. I think that is going to be a key for us. And our ability, I think it's today, I think it is taking time when changes of technological shifts are happening, not in, I think 3 years, 5 years time frame, they're happening much, much faster. In fact, I was talking to somebody who said, we're doing 5G, getting into 5G, but trust me, we don't have talent. We just have people who understand 5G, but we're just going through books, technology, workshops, just to upskill people and bring them up to speed on 5G. 8.5 trillion of money, revenues will be lost in the next 25-30 years. We don't upskill. Skill gap and skill crunch is talent crunch are two different concepts, but sharing talent within different organizations, we have different governing bodies, right? If they all can come together and say, hey, you have talent pool, don't let them go, just bring them and share them with other companies, right? Probably do some billing sharing or revenue sharing models. I think bringing that mindset, I think we can solve a lot of problems while letting go of the money that we're losing today. I think a lot of our panels have said clearly, investing in technology in labs, right? Today, I think creating labs is not going to be a very easy affair. It costs a lot. And this is now restricted to some very elite universities across the world. But I think if that can be brought in with the collaboration and not just campus visits are limited to, some workshops or just guest lectures, but I think the engagement has to start at a very early level, right from probably a pre-graduate level and things like that, and not just the last 3 months of campus interviews. I think if that can be brought in, I think we will bring the talent much faster.
What are the key things, building blocks that we have identified? One is having right leaders who are digitally savvy and who has a commitment for this transformation. Otherwise, those naysayers who say that, no, it's all a passing kind of phase and will again be, they are not the people who are going to lead this. So putting the right people into the right place in terms of having the right leaders, not only in digital functions, but in the organizational leadership also. That's first thing. Second thing that we have identified is there are certain skills in business by business, because it's a conglomerate and we have multiple businesses within the group. So those, based on those identification, we are going to invest. We have already started work on that in quite a scale format, investing in the future skills, which are going to be relevant for us. And we have started building those skills at mass scale, at large scale. Because there is a view of future that how the work will happen, and for that mass scale of skill will be required in the workforce, and that's not going to come from any other source other than building internally with the help of the relevant partners and people. And there are universities and there are colleges, but there are other organizations also who are helping us into that. So building the workforce capability of the future is the second thing. Third thing is a lot of communication and not a conventional communication the way we have been engaging with the workforce, but very customized communication to build their awareness, understanding, knowledge, and driving their commitment towards that. There's the third building block which is there. In terms of culture, empowerment is something which is very integral to the digital transformation that is likely to come there. And if we do not achieve that, then even if we at the superficial and work method level we are able to achieve, still will not get the full benefit. So empowerment and taking the full advantage of the workforce creativity and ingenuity, that's something that digital transformation really gives, and we are committed to that. And working out those instruments, working out those details that will give empowerment to the last mile, and decisions are taken at the boundary line as per design. This is something integral part of that. And last is, as far as the individual experience is concerned, wherever there is a day-to-day tool, that continuous upgrade, digital upgrade of those tools. It may be very small, but that's where the rubber hits the road.
So institutions essentially, especially in India, they have we have placement-led admissions, and institutions have student fee primarily as the key source of revenue. So in the current era, good admissions means good placements means good admissions, which means good revenue, which means good growth for the institution. So, two-way relationship, which is mutually beneficial for the industry, is important. An industry as a knowledge partner, as an industry partner, and institution as a knowledge partner, that kind of a marriage is required, in long term. And with proactive engagement with corporates at multiple levels, it could be at the CEO, MD, business head level, the HR head level. Then somewhere in between, it could be at the university relations or campus hiring team level. And third and finally is the alumni level, where you could be having your own alumni sitting there. So, multiple levels of engagements with the specific corporates where, there is a possibility of engagement. And then, taking internships rather seriously from the students' perspective and from the campus, it's essentially a B2B marketplace. There's a great supply of fresh talent, energetic talent. Now, critical to have a formal dedicated team of outreach or business development professionals who proactively engage with the industry, understand the requirements. Industry A may have a different requirement and industry B may have a different requirement. So every industry, every organization within the industry may have multiple set of requirements. Understand, keep them, one-to-one. It's like a relationship management thing. That is how it has to be proactively managed. And this is what we are trying to do at our institution. Thanks a lot.